Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on the Creative Corner, and joining me today is fantasy fiction author Melissa H. North. Hey Mel, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Melissa has written the book The Halfling, and this is book one in my hands. We're going to find out a little bit about this book and this whole creative journey that she's been on. Mel, how about you start off by telling us what is this book about?
This book is a coming-of-age book. It's about a young woman who finds herself in a world where she doesn't think she belongs, and so within this world she delves deeper into the different types of characters, and they're all fantasy characters, so they're not the usual type of character. And she finds out a lot of things about herself, good and bad. So she's on a journey of self-discovery, really. Add a bit of sass and a bit of funny characters with quirks, and it all comes together as a fantasy fiction novel.
Well, that sounds fantastic and a little intriguing, but tell me about the creative process. What is the most difficult part for you in bringing this to life?
With me, I find that my brain sort of works 100 million miles an hour, and thoughts come in from each direction. So it's when it comes to writing, they sort of come into my brain, and I think, oh, okay, I can use this in the story in this way, and then all of a sudden I'll think of something else, and that might be more intriguing. So the creative process in getting my thoughts condensed into that one particular way of how I want the story to run is the hardest part. So once that's all done, then the writing can really start on.
So it's the organisation and the mapping out.
Yeah, the mapping out is the hardest part for me, trying to get my thought process completely right first.
Well, let's dig into the story a bit. And what was the hardest scene to write within The Halfling?
Oh, the hardest scene, that would be, to tell you completely, would be a spoiler, so I'll work my way around it. The hardest scene was when one of the critical characters in the novel finds his demise.
Okay.
Yes, it was the hardest to write because he's such a lovable character. So yeah, that one took quite a while to write.
And as a creative, you'd be quite attached to these characters.
Yeah, and you sort of feel empty after you've done that. It's sort of like you've done the deed. Oh no. And yeah, so once that was over, it sort of, the process sort of stopped for a little bit, and then you get back onto it once again. But yeah,
you have your grieving.
You have your little grieving moment.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the names of these characters. They're quite fresh and unique, a little bit eclectic. Where do you come up with them?
Poland came out of my head. I don't know exactly how I come up with him. I think of characters' names to try and suit the character, their quirks, their abilities, the way they interact with the other characters. But Poland, and I shortened it to Poe, was just something that came into my head that related to that character. A couple of the other characters, I sort of Googled names that would be similar to what I was trying to think of, because I couldn't quite get what I wanted. And basically, once I got to know the character a bit better, I could fill in the names. The last names of the characters came pretty much at the end of the book, because it was harder for me to, by then I knew the character well enough to come up with a last name for them. So,
wow,
yeah.
It's quite a process.
Eliana Aria Rose is the main character. Aria Rose being her last name, I pretty much got at the end. And that was when my granddaughter was born.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that was actually, I was just thinking about that when you were answering the question, which was, any of these characters or their names or characteristics, how many of them are related to people you actually know in your real life?
Some of them are related to people I know in real life, basically family, and some of the quirks even are more exaggerated, obviously, in the novel, but are related to a particular family member. And when I told my family about it, that it's either part of their name or some sort of quirk or some sort of recognition that they have in the book, they went, oh, and they were intrigued and pretty much wanted to read it themselves to find out whereabouts in the book they were.
That's a good thing, and I think when we write fiction, we are always drawing from our experiences and the people we've known in our life, and that's where a lot of it comes from. So Yeah, and it's a bit of fun too when you can associate a character or a trait of a character to a partner or a family.
Not saying that there's anyone evil
Oh,
in my family.
It depends on how you feel at the time now. You know, you pick and choose. You're the creator. What about? Let's talk a bit more about your writing. What could you tell your younger writing self? If you could, now that you've done this, you're a published author. Looking back, what would you tell your younger writing self?
Basically, to start sooner. To be motivated and to have the confidence to go ahead and do something. Don't leave it until you feel that or better do it before, you know, life runs out or before I don't have time and stuff like that. It's so much easier to, if you know you want to write, then go ahead and do it. I mean, there's people out there, there's clubs, there's groups, and heaps of other online initiatives that can help you. So I say just go for it. And that's what I would say to myself back then.
I think, you know, and you yourself have proven this, is that once you've got into the space of being creative and being an author and realising the potential that it brings to yourself and to the people you're close with, you become part of a community. And we were just saying off camera before that when you come back down here, you want to have a good catch up with everybody that you've got to know over the last 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And, you know, we'll get together, have a bit of a party. But that's the community that creativity brings. So, you know, a lot of people have answered that question with what you've just said, which is, I wish I'd started earlier. You started now, you just can't stop.
Yes, that's true. And you make so many good friends. A lot of, like you said, a lot of the people that I've met are still online friends that I haven't actually met them in person. And I can't wait to do that because you feel so close to them already. And it's brilliant. It's a really good feeling.
I did a seminar recently where a lot of people that were already published had come along to it, and I'll tell you what it was like. For example, we've talked about Sammy today. When, for us, when we're sitting there, I have a coffee in my hand, I'm looking over them, and there's you and there's Sam. It's a pretty special moment for us because when we see all of this connect, you know the potential there, and it's pretty magical. Okay, let's talk about the feedback of the Halfling. What's it been like? It's been out for a while. What sort of feedback have you had?
From individuals, I've had really positive feedback. People who have read the book and left reviews on Goodreads have all been positive. I did some webinars earlier this year, and I was really inspired by a young girl who I'd met at my launch who followed through on all of the webinars that I'd done. And she wants to publish her book as well. She's in the process of writing, so I was inspired by her. So it's a really good feeling. All the feedback that you get is inspiring.
And some highlights. You must have had some key highlights in the last few months for the book.
It's had international reviews with 5-star ratings recently, and also a distributor has picked up on the Halfling novel and distributing out to bookstores.
Which is not an easy feat. Trust me, that is pretty difficult to achieve, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have a bit of a random question. As a writer, what would you call your spirit animal?
That's a good question. Okay, a dragonfly. And the reason would be because, as you know, a dragonfly sort of flits across the water in one direction, then all of a sudden changes course and flits in another direction until it finds exactly where it wants to go. So I would pick a dragonfly for the simple fact that my thoughts flit through different directions until I stabilise on one thought for the novel, and then that's the direction my dragonfly goes. That's the way I see it.
Nice. Look, we're going to look forward to book 2. We're going to look forward to more of the work that you're putting out there. I want to thank you for sitting down and having a chat to me today.
That's okay, anytime.
And if you guys want to get a copy of the Halfling Book 1, you want to go to melissahnorthauthor.com and go and get yourself a copy. And of course, now you can walk into your local bookstore and ask for it as well. So go and check it out and keep an eye on what she's up to. She's everywhere. Thanks, guys.